Hello. Hello, dear all. English Without Borders welcomes all of you to our series of English Without Borders Thursday webinars. And right now at 6 p.m. Tajikistan time, lots of our followers are joining via Facebook and Zoom today. So today we are hosting Fariza Sheralieva, who will talk about reflective teaching. How can one become a reflective practitioner? So Fariza Sheralieva has been engaged in teaching and training throughout her career. She taught English language courses at Horrocks State University for 3 years. Prior to joining UCA, she worked as a parental consultant at Jamaat Khana Development Committee in Horrocks, Tajikistan. Fariza holds a master's degree from Jadavpur University in India and recently became a graduate of the STEP program, which culminates in 2 awards, a Master of Arts in Muslim Societies and Civilizations from SOAS University of London, and a Diploma in Teaching and Reflective Practice from University College London, IOE. Fariza also has teaching experience in humanities subjects at Blessed Hugh Farrington Catholic University, based in London, which she underwent as part of the internship in the STEP program. And currently, she works as assistant to the manager of academic affairs at the University of Central Asia in Dushanbe. So thank you so much, Fariza. Now the floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much, Gulnora, for your warm welcome. I hope our participants are joining. So let me know when I can start, and I think you will share my screen. Yes, I can see the screen now. So should we start, or should we wait for some other people?
Yes, we start. We can start.
Yes, I think we already have some people there.
Yes, and some people might join from Facebook and from Zoom as well. Yes, okay. Let's start. Yeah.
Okay, so today's topic is reflective teaching. How can one become a reflective practitioner? I have selected this topic for today's session because this is one, I'm a teacher myself, a teacher educator, and this is one of my favorite topics. So I wanted to discuss with you this topic today. And throughout the session, we have, I think, 1 hour for the session. And throughout the session, I want to have discussions with you at some points. There will be some activities also involving your participation. So if you have any comments or questions throughout the session, you can raise your hands. Gulnora and her colleagues will help me to take your comments, and also use the chat box, please. If you don't have opportunity to speak up, just use the chat box. Okay, so if we move to the next slide. So I wanted to start the session with some questions. These are some very simple general questions, but once I think about reflective practice, I instantly think about the identity of teachers, first of all, who we are as teachers. And I think these simple questions would help us to get some insights about each other, what we think of ourselves as teachers, and what we think about our job. So reflective teaching is a vast topic. One could take thousands of sessions about reflective teaching, but in this session, I will give a short introduction about this topic. So I want the participant to take few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 1 minute or 2 to think about the questions. And if you have the opportunity of writing it down, please do it on a piece of paper and then share with others or use the chat box. I will read the questions out loud so that everyone can hear them properly. First one is, why did you decide to become a teacher or educator? Why did you select this profession? What inspired you? This is the second question. What is the best part of your job, according to you? And what is the least favorite part of your job? So these are 4 short questions, but you can give some response after thinking for a few seconds. Just take a minute. And once you are ready, just raise hands or use the chat box. We already have some points here. Oh, it's from Gulnora. Try to think about some favorite parts of your job. You can share it with a word or two. And also, what are the parts that are your least favorite in your teaching career, I mean? Okay, we have, a lot of answers are coming. Gulnora says, in order to make a difference in the lives of the in the lives of children. Yes, this is the response which I expected. So Zeboneso says that I decided to be a teacher because I was inspired to be a teacher by my mother. She's an English teacher too. I follow her steps. Okay, great. My mother helped me to choose this profession. Yes, she inspired me. The best part of being teacher is meeting my students, all different and interesting. That's true. Yes. If you want to speak up, please do. Well, the best part of my job is to see my students' success. Of course, this is the kind of main goal, one of the main goals of teachers, right? To see the success of our students. Impact of teachers on the lives of students inspired me. I like to work with children because they're all happy and it makes me happy too. Yes. Really good ideas are coming. Very interesting insights. So is there anyone from participants wants to share with the whole group out loud? Like, would you like to speak up? I decided to be a teacher because I was inspired by my sister. The best part is when I see my students' result. Yes, that's true. Is there any part which you don't like about your teaching career? Does anyone want to share, like, what is the least favorite part of your job? Because when we... Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening, dear colleagues. My name is Fariza Sheralieva. I'm an English teacher, and I was inspired by my teacher when I was in the fifth form. So, and that time I have chosen my profession, and I would never regret it because I become an experienced teacher, and I had very good students who had good results. And of course, I'm always happy when my students speak English fluently, and of course, they are doing some success in their business and they are studying. So I think that I have chosen the right profession. And though I am not so young, I'm always working with my students, and I never tired of teaching. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for your ideas. Is there any part which you don't like very much about teaching? Like, what is your least favorite part about your
I
career?
like everything, because when I go to work, I'm going like to holiday. So because I like my teaching, I like my students, and I never regretted to be a teacher. So every day is holiday for me when I see my students.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for your
You're welcome.
ideas. Is there anyone else who wants to share? Okay, I can see Sophia's comment. Very challenging question. Yes, it is. In my case, I felt the feeling of teaching on me. Yes, because you are a teacher. I decided to be a teacher because I was inspired by my sister. Yes. Grading papers and staying late. This is probably one of the least favorite parts, right? Grading papers takes a lot of time, energy, I understand, and staying late. Yes, as teachers, we do that quite often. So can you take one more comment from the participants? If you speak out loud, it will be really good if you share with the whole group. A lot of checking, yes. Yes, teaching is about that. It's one of the challenging parts, right? Okay, so thank you very much for sharing really powerful points here. I expected many of you to share what I read out loud, and also different, like your least favorite parts. Some people shared their favorite parts about their career. So it's quite interesting to see all these different ideas. And the reason for giving you these questions and kind of discussing it in the whole group with the whole group is that, so when I gave you the questions and you thought about them, you kind of looked back at your experience and your career. Some of you may have years and years of teaching career, teaching experience, right? So you probably thought about it, you analyzed, you evaluated. So this is how we reflect, right? This is one big part of reflection. I mean, even if you didn't write it in a piece of paper, you still thought about it, you put it in the chat box. So it is, I think it is a really good start to our discussion today. Thank you so much. And let's move to the next slide. Yes, so here is a quote. The author is unknown, but I picked it because I really liked it. It says that teaching is the one profession that creates all other professions. It's really powerful, right? I think you will agree with me. It is true that teaching, it is the complexity of teaching, because it is what creates all other professions. All other professions do not come out without teaching. So this is why I think that those people who select teaching as a career, they are heroes, right? So let's move to the next slide. Well, I can't see the next slide yet. Yes, I can see it now. So here, again, I want to ask you a question before coming to the definition of reflective practice and introducing it. I want your own understanding or definition of reflective teaching or reflective practice. What do you think reflective teaching is? How would you define it? Maybe some of you already know about it. You are using it in your own experience, and maybe you have read about it enough. But still, I mean, even if you haven't heard of it, what is your own definition of reflective teaching or reflective practice? Again, you can use the chat box or you can speak up, please. I would really appreciate if you speak up and we can have a kind of discussion together. There is no right or wrong answer here. Remember, okay, it's not, there is no specific definition which is universal and we can define reflective teaching through that. There are different definitions and explanation. Yes?
Hello.
Yes.
I am Zebo, an English teacher, and I'm familiar with this topic. It's my favorite topic, and I am English teacher and trainer and mentor. And I always ask teachers when I do professional development, always I ask them, push them to do reflective teaching by the end of your lesson. Because if you
Yes.
by the end of the course that you take, because if you will write down you're thinking what worked well in this session or in this webinar or in this professional development or in your course or in your lesson. If you will write down, you will reflect on it. It will be beneficial for you and you will work on that. So writing, like keeping a journal, writing teacher's diary is very important. And I understand that reflective teaching means when what you do in the classroom, yes? And then you have to think why you do it. And you have to think what worked well and what didn't work well at the process of self-observation and self-evaluation. And that's why thinking about reflective teaching. Also, when I was teaching, also by the end of the lesson, I asked students to reflect on today's lesson. Give me three things worked well. What did you like? So just I give them a moment of silence where they take note, write down just 3-4 minutes that they write down, because we have to write down. I like writing very much because when I write down what happened today, I will look at the notebook maybe after a year or after months, because we can't rely on our memory. But when I look, I have notebook from my professional developments where by the end of each professional development training, I wrote down. I wrote down the session, what was beneficial for me, what are the takeaways from this session, and what I can do as a future trainer looking at these trainers.
Exactly.
And this was very important. It's my very favorite topic. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zebon. So really good points. Like you kind of summarized it in a very good professional way. I'm really happy that you like it because it's my favorite topic too. And you are right. Like it's not about us only reflecting on our job as teachers, but making our students also do it, right? It's really helpful, and reflective teaching, it's one of the ways to raise the quality of teaching, right? So I have some good comments in chat box as well, monitoring your how your methods work and how your students are involved and understand or learn. Yes, of course, this is what reflective teaching is for. Identifying areas for improvement, exactly. Reflective teaching may be when you teach and you learn at the same time. Yes, this is, of course, one part of reflective teaching. And it means we learn from our teaching to create all the time new ideas. Yes, when we look back into our practice, as Zeboniso mentioned, write down ideas, think about it, what could be changed next time, and so on. This is how we improve our practice. Really good points. Thank you so much. I can see that you have a lot of information about reflective teaching already, but I hope this session will give you some more ideas and insights about how can we become reflective practitioners. And last point by Sophia, I would read out loud. It is simply reflective teaching is when you reflect, analyze your everyday session. Of course, yeah. So let's move to the next slide. And here I have the definition of reflective teaching for you by some great scholars who are considered as pioneers of reflective teaching. I hope you can see my screen, right? So the meaning of reflective teaching, I have picked a quote by a kind of definition by John Dewey. John Dewey is considered one of the pioneers of reflective teaching. The concept of reflective teaching itself stems from John Dewey. He contrasted the concepts like routine action and reflective action. He thinks that routine action, he considers it as something guided by tradition, habit, and authority. And he says that this routine action is basically static and it is unresponsive to changes. Whereas reflective action, it involves self-appraisal and constant development. So again, self-appraisal, it's when we assess our practice and we do something new in order to improve further, right? He also says that reflective action involves flexibility and social awareness, and it is prone to change. So, and the second scholar, who is Donald Schoen, he also wrote a lot on reflective teaching, on reflective practice. He specifically, he's very popular with these two terms, these two phrases, reflection on action and reflection in action. I'm sure most of you are familiar with these phrases. Probably you already use it in your own practice, and maybe you have wrote some papers on it, probably. But I will shortly say that what Sean means by reflection on action, it is when, for example, we conduct a class, we go home, we sit, and we think about our lesson, how it went, what are different episodes of our classroom, what was well, what didn't go that well. So this is the reflection which happens after the action is completed, right? But reflection in action, it is when we make judgments and decisions on the spot, or like during the action, during the lesson, when you see something is not going that well and you change your approach, your methodology, your pedagogy, and you do something else in order to kind of improve the situation, right? And also I have few phrases from Solomon, who also wrote on reflective teaching, reflective practice. He talks about culture of collaboration. Of course, we can reflect on our practice as teachers individually, make our own judgments, our own decisions, and change something in our future classes, lessons. But if we make it in collaboration also, it would really help us. He says that your individual reflection is important, but creating this culture of collaboration when you collaborate with other educators, teachers to improve your experience and practice, this would really help you. Community of inquiry, this is another phrase he uses in his writings. Of course, this is again working together, asking a lot of questions. I mean, questioning your own experience, questioning others' experience, and I mean, coming to one decision together. And network learning, these are all connected phrases. Again, network learning, when we learn individually and we also learn together, sharing ideas with others and learning from others, right? So this was a kind of short overview about what some of the great scholars think about reflective practice. And if we move to the next slide, I had a kind of diagram for you. Yes, this is a diagram I have taken from Pollard's book, Pollard 2014. It's one of the best books on reflective teaching, on reflective practice. It talks a lot about reflective teaching with really great examples. So Polar says that reflective teaching is applied in a cyclical or spiraling process in which teachers monitor, evaluate, and revise their own practice continuously. He says that it is a never-ending process. Like, for example, I as a teacher, I can't like reflect on my practice for a week or for a month and then say, okay, I'm a very good teacher now and I have to stop it and teach the way I want further. He says, no, it is a continuous process. Even if we have 20, 30 years of teaching experience, we still have to reflect. We still have to analyze our practice and think of further steps, how to improve it further, right? It is a never ending process. And Polar says that, for example, there are steps of reflecting on our practice. First one is planning. Like when we, if I have classroom tomorrow, if I have a class tomorrow, I plan for it, right? I have a lesson plan, I prepare material, and then making provision, arranging or preparing for this teaching to happen. And then you act, you teach, this is your action. Then collecting evidence. When I teach, a lot of things can happen during one lesson, right? Sometimes it is really successful, sometimes not. There can be some instances where I have some issues with students. Maybe not everyone is following me and so on. So these are all the evidences we collect throughout our classes. Then we analyze this evidence, these instances from our classroom. How we started the lesson, I mean, what kind of activities we used, how it impacted our students, and so on. We evaluate this evidence and then we reflect. Okay, this went well in my classroom today. I have to repeat this again, maybe. And this activity didn't go that well. How can I change it for the next class? Maybe I have to try a new approach. Maybe I have to use a different pedagogy so that the topic, my explanation is clear for everyone. Sometimes we blame the students, okay, they don't listen, they're not following me, but it's not all the time the case. Sometimes maybe our explanation or our approach is not clear for students, right? And this is when reflective practice helps us. Just revising, looking back at our practice, at our teaching, and think what could be done in order to improve it so that our learning, the learning of our students becomes effective. Okay, so if you have any questions at this point, maybe we can take some and then we can move further. I think I have a slide or two left, but if you have a question or you have a comment, maybe we can have some discussion before we move on. What do you think? Any comments or questions? If you want to share any, like, what do you think, for example, about this cyclical process? Do you think it's hard to do? Do you think it's, I mean, it's helpful? Or do you think it can waste your time? Any ideas? Yeah, so teacher must never stop improving his or her knowledge. Of course. Yeah, I mean, as teachers, if you say that, if, for example, I say that, okay, I have studied a lot, I know a lot about teaching, and now I won't do anything else. I just enter the classroom and teach. Of course, this won't make me a good teacher, right? Even if you are stuffed with a lot of theory, you have to see how it works in real classroom, how it works in practice, right? It's very good in teaching process. Yeah. Yeah, it is helpful. It helps us to see different parts of our job. Like sometimes we teach and we only think about the best, some good parts of our job, but we kind of it happens that we try to ignore some of the parts which didn't go that well. I know from my experience itself, like it happens, but it won't help us if we don't think about it, if we don't change it, if we don't try to improve it, right? Teachers never cease to learn. Yes, teachers should never stop to learn, of course. Anyone who wants to speak up, if you have this opportunity. Okay, so reflecting on our own class is a learning. Yes, yes, definitely. Okay, let's move to the next slide then. And there, I also have, I think I have, yes, I have an extract from you, for you from Pollard. This is a short extract, but it contains kind of very good summary of what Pollard says about reflective teaching. Can I ask anyone from you to read it out loud for us? If anyone wishes to read it out loud? Anyone?
I can try. Can I?
Yes, so please.
Okay. Teachers are principally expected to plan, make provision, and act. Reflective teachers also need to monitor, observe, and collect data on their own and the children's intentions, actions, and feelings. This evidence then needs to be critically analyzed and evaluated so that it can be shared, judgments made, and decisions taken. Finally, this may lead the teacher to revise his or her classroom policies, plans, and provision before beginning the process again. It is a dynamic process which is intended to lead through the successive cycles or through the spiraling process towards a higher quality standards of teaching. This model is simple, comprehensive, and certainly could be an extremely powerful influence on practice. It is consistent with the notion of reflective teaching as described by both Dewey and Stern, and provides an essential clarification of the procedures of the reflective teaching. Yeah, I
Thank you
totally
so
agree.
much,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for your beautiful reading. It was really, really, I mean, loud and clear and easy to easy to follow. Would you like to share some insights from whatever you read, and maybe any ideas, like any ideas you picked from this description of reflective practice?
Yes, I would like to share when I was a high school teacher, I like to monitor and observe myself. And I also ask the colleagues to come, because when you are on the when you are leading, yeah, on the stage, you can see yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can see how you teach the way, but you can see your action, you can feel. But anyway, I invited. I was very young teachers, but anyway, I welcome everyone to observe my lesson. You know, as a young teacher, not every young teacher are confident to invite. But I don't know. I love my profession. I know I choose this profession by my desire, by my wish, and I wanted just at the beginning stage to know what steps I'm doing right or wrong. I need people's advice. I need somebody observe me. But you know, one thing in our system, when somebody observe your lesson, they don't share the observation. You know, they share later at the meeting, at the council. For
They
example,
don't sit with you and discuss and
yes.
like
At
it
that
doesn't
time,
happen?
yeah. But nowadays, I think it changed. But in that times, I am talking
Okay.
about 2004, 5, because it was my beginning. Maybe I was young. They didn't consider to share it with me because maybe they think, oh, she is young. She made these mistakes. It's okay. It's forgivable for her because she is young. But anyway, I needed, you know, when wise principals sit in my lesson, she wrote something, she scribbled down something and she laughed. And I said, how was it? I said, I have written everything there. I will share in the meeting. I said, could you share it before the meeting? You know, of course, they didn't like it because it's not normal for them to share it with the teacher. But I was sad at when in front of everybody they tell you mistakes, their observation. Okay, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay, but it was okay for me to know what was wrong. But anyway, I like that the teachers share right away, maybe sit in a cup of tea or coffee to sit and share how
Exactly.
the first thing is the teacher should welcome observation. It's my point of view. If you really a passionate teacher, you choose this profession by your desire, by your heart, you should invite people, teachers, to sit in your class and together sit and discuss what was wrong, teacher. Can you give me a suggestion? What do you think? How should I do next time? Or if you are not okay, you feel because some teachers don't feel comfortable when somebody in the classroom, it's because maybe by nature they are shy, they will lose themselves. You can still keep a diary. There is another way. I love writing, in one of my exchange programs. I came from United States and I saw the writing there, how teachers do writing, how teacher keep diary, ask students to write their reflection. When they
Yeah.
finish the course, they write. And then if the students are okay, they can share with teacher and the teacher can just read, but no checking, no grammar mistake. Don't
Yeah,
look at the make.
yeah.
Your writing should not just write. Take a pen and write. Don't focus on is it okay? Did I write well? Is my spelling, my grammar? Don't think about that. Just write. And and then I start keeping a journal, teacher's journal. And the first is I say I monitor, and I observe, and then I had a notebook where I write my students' behavior and actions. Or I say, okay, why that student was silent? The lesson is so interesting. When I write, I write some columns like students' actions and feelings and my
Oh,
actions.
that's great.
I make several columns. And when I finish with my part, I start thinking about the student. Why that student is always silent. Everybody answer, but I know she knows, but why she is not raising her hand? I am thinking, I'm trying, it's night. I'm supposed to sleep, but the ideas come and you start, the reflection is not switched off here, I still thinking, how can what should I do that she talk? Maybe I will talk with her tete-a-tete, or, this is my reflection. Maybe everyone's reflection is different because every teacher is unique. Yes, everyone
Yes.
has their own style. My style maybe will not work with you, with your setting, with your environment, because our students are unique. Our
Yes.
environment is different, right? But
Yeah.
this process, give me pleasure when I write, when I write and I reflect. Maybe it's crazy, maybe people say,
That's
why you
great.
write
It
spending?
becomes a habit, right? It becomes a habit when you start doing it continuously. It becomes a habit, and this is how you get used to analyzing your class. I mean, thinking about different parts of it. It is like, I think this is the definition of good teaching. When you
Yeah.
just don't go home and forget about your um, teaching, but if you plan, like you come from work, you, of course, we have other chores to do at home, but still, while planning for the next class, we have to think back, right? To think back about our previous lesson. As you mentioned, I really loved the point you said about how you make a list of your students' actions, your actions. This is really powerful. Yeah, I really liked it. I like it, and I think that it already helped you a lot, and it will help you. It will continue to help you, because even if we have up to 25 or 30 students sitting in the classroom, we still have to make sure everyone is included, everyone is involved in the lesson. If they don't participate, what is the reason? How can we help next time? How can we change our approach? Or maybe we can talk to the students, we can give them some extra time to kind of be involved, be with us throughout the lesson, right? So
Yes.
this is really, really powerful. Yeah. And about the observation you mentioned, this is also interesting. I know it's kind of widespread idea in our country in many parts, but I mean, when I was going through my practicum, teaching practicum when I was doing my master's in Europe. So my mentor observed me and he sat with me after that, like face to face, we had a meeting, and he asked me, what do you think? Like, how did your teaching go according to you? What do you think about it? Like, what went well? What didn't go that well? Like, he asked me to share first, and I told him everything, and he said, yes, this is what I think too. Like, they try to make sure that you don't lose your confidence, right?
Yes.
Next time,
Yes.
so that it is okay to make mistakes,
Yes.
and work on it, make it
Yes.
better next time. We
We
make
should,
mistakes
yeah.
all the time, right? And it
Yes,
is
yes.
okay.
And
But if we try to improve it, it would help us.
And you know, what I like that we should accept failures. We should accept, because after failure comes success. We can't be successful just teaching 20 years or 30 years and then say, oh, I'm very experienced teacher, but never facing a challenge, but never accepting a failure. But you know, you should, I think, when you invite somebody observe your class, you should prepare yourself for the critical comments, because it's okay, because you knew that somebody, if come, they will have positive and negative comments. You should be ready for that. And of course, it is for your benefit. It's for your benefit. And you know, I listened.
Right?
Yeah, I listened very attentively what they say, and I even write down on my notebook. Okay, how should one teacher said you don't use Blackboard a lot. You only having activity, moving students. When one observer came and she said, you don't use Blackboard because you're always moving students around. I thought that it is student-centered method. I have to move them. But they told me that you don't use Blackboard. Okay, next time I use Blackboard, then another teacher observed and said, you don't use textbooks. You have your own handouts. So I start thinking, okay, maybe some activities I will take from our textbooks. Okay, you know, every time, then you balance it. When someone come again, you balance a little from Blackboard, it's a little from textbook, you balance, you know how it's every of their notes, it's very beneficial for me. Their critiques, their comments are very beneficial for me.
Exactly.
And I want to finish up with John Dewey's quote that we didn't learn from experience. We learn from the reflecting on the experience.
Yes.
We should
This
reflect
is one
on
of this is one of the quotes which makes sense to everyone, I think, right? It is, of course, reflecting on experience. This is what helps us to grow as teachers. Thank you so much, Zebune. So I am sure that everyone loved your ideas, and most of us do agree with you, if not all. Anyone else wants to share any ideas about how Pollard summarizes the idea of reflective teaching? Please speak up. We have a few more minutes until we wrap up, and I have a short assessment activity for you. But before that, I want to hear more ideas. Anyone else, please? This is an open discussion. I like to share. I really like to listen to you. If you use reflective teaching in your practice and what you think about it. Any ideas in the chat box we have? Don't hesitate to share your ideas.
Fariza, I have one question actually for you. When was the last time you have, let's say, the last class and you have reflected on your own experience, on your own teaching? and what was it and what you have changed?
Yeah, I mean, yes. This was the question, right?
Yes, yeah, yes.
Okay, so if I look back, I don't have a lot of teaching experience, to be honest. I am kind of novice teacher, but I am quite stuffed with the theory, but I'm sure that most of you have more experience in teaching than me. But once I became, when I became aware of reflective teaching, I started using it on a daily basis. I could see, for example, if I think of one of my last classes as a teacher, like I also keep a journal, like Zeboniso said, keeping a journal is one of the most profound ways to adopt reflective practice, to become a reflective practitioner. It is your personal journal, and you can look at it all the time, like it's yours. This is how you analyze your classes, and this is how you change it. But like when I think of my last class, I kind of I had some students who were not engaged in the classroom. Like there were 4 to 5 students who seemed to, I mean, really, they kept some distance with me, and they didn't try to participate. They maybe they were hesitant, or at some point I thought maybe my explanation is not clear for them. But when I went home and I tried to think back and I mean, look at different parts of my lesson. To some extent, I thought that maybe I didn't explain them enough, the new concepts that were introduced in the lesson, or I didn't use this individual approach, which we have to do all the time in the classroom. Some students need our help more than others, and maybe I didn't give them much attention throughout the class. So next class, I tried to be much closer to those who are less involved in the class, who don't participate. So I try to, I mean, sit with them. I try to ask them individual questions. I mean, look at their work with them. Like I try to, I try to take this kind of balanced thing to be involved in the work of all my students, but somehow I gave more to those who were silent, and I think it helped me. It started to help me. And again, after that class, I wrote down a short reflection, and I thought to change. I need to try a different activity, to maybe ask them to present something in the classroom, so that they take the lead and their confidence also kind of improves, and they start participating, and it helps really. Like trying different approaches with those students who are less involved and who don't participate much, trying different approaches with them really helps. But without reflecting, I wouldn't identify the issues. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fariza, for sharing your experience.
Thank you for your question. And I think we should now move on to the last part, right?
Fariza, can I?
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I shared in the chat box the 10 teacher questions for self-reflection, because there are a set of questions that you can do, you teachers can do when they have a journal for writing, for to ask themselves, because sometimes you need a question that you should look and think and reflect and write, right? And
exactly.
There's some, I found one interesting, I have one interesting exercise, like 10 teacher question for reflection. I shared here in the chat box. Like
yes, I can see it.
Do you see it? When I am
Yes.
trying to, what am I trying to accomplish with my student? What is a core? Like something like, and usually, you know, it's the end of the school year, yes? And teachers can do self-reflection. Just look at this question and think about how this academic year went for them, how it was, and what were the challenges they faced, what their achievements. Write down like achievement and challenges and reflect on this. And also a good suggestion will be at the beginning of the school year for September to reflect, to also do some reflection for the new academic year, like to sit and reflect what you are going to do for this semester. Also, it's a reflection. Write down on your notebook about your new academic year. Usually, yeah, and by the end of the semester, teachers also can reflect. So just I wanted to share that file if anybody interested. They can.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it's really interesting, and I will download it for myself and have a look at it. I will definitely use it because the questions are quite intriguing. They help you to analyze your class from all angles. These are really helpful, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. We have a comment from Parvina who says that I think a real teacher analyzes every class she teaches. Of course, for example, motivating and engaging all students is not an easy task. It is not easy. This is why scholars come up with different theories to help teachers to keep students motivated and engaged. You are right, it's not an easy task. And she says that in ETM, recently we had ETM graduation at University of Central Asia. I think Parvina is one of the participants. She says that we also taught that the observer should ask the teacher what went well in his or her class and what he would change, which stage of the lesson he failed. Yes, of course, we need good analysis after the observer observes our class. We have to have discussion. We have to analyze what went well and what should be improved next time. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion. And if we move to the last part of the session, it is a short assessment, like it's a very small activity. I would like you to list 3 things you already know about reflective teaching, like maybe from today's session or from your background knowledge. 2 things you would like to know about or learn more about, like what are other areas you still want to learn about this topic, and 1 question related to today's topic. If I think we won't be able to take all questions, but we will try to take some, okay? But I really want you to reflect. We have a hand raised here, right?
Yes, from Natia.
Yes. Natia, please. Sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly.
Correct.
Yes.
So I have 2 questions. So if you maybe you can answer only one. So about self-reflection, I teach at private school and I have 7 and 8 lessons every day. And after that, I have a standard lesson. So at the end of the day, I am out of energy, desire, and everything. And I don't really have time to sit down and analyze all my 7 lessons. So maybe there is some tool, or I don't know, any other thing I can do.
I understand that. Yeah. Thank you so much for this question. Basically, by the end of this session, I wanted to share that, like, not everything is so really positive about reflective practice. Reflective practice is time consuming. It takes a lot of our time. It is rewarding. It makes us better professionals. It helps us to become good teachers, really good teachers, but it is time consuming. As you said, many of us, like many of you sitting here, have to teach 7 to 8 classes per day, or maybe some people teach in 2 different schools or universities. And reflecting on each class, it is challenging, but we have to try. For example, I can give you a kind of suggestion which you may use, like in future if it's comfortable for you. So for example, if you could kind of pick at least 1 or 2 instances, like collecting evidence, we said from Pollard, 2 main highlights from each class, and kind of while planning the next lesson for them, think of them. Think how your next planning would affect those areas which have to be improved according to you. And even if you have 7 classes, writing a very short paragraph around maybe 100 or 150 words after your class would not take a lot of your time. If it becomes a habit, trust me, you won't have a problem doing it every day. At least on weekend, maybe if you can't do it every day, having a lot of chores to do even after your classes, try to do it on weekend, at least like summarizing your week, how it went, and like sometimes we remember the highlights of our lessons, even if after a few days, right? We can sit, reflect on them, write down, and plan to improve them. But while planning your next class, try to think of some areas for improvement, because all of us have areas for improvement each time. This is one of the drawbacks of reflective teaching. It is time consuming, but if we start doing it on a regular basis, trust me, it becomes a habit and you won't feel much that it takes a lot of your time. This is like teaching, this is the complexity of teaching, right? Just try and see. Okay, any
Thank you.
other
I
comments
will
or
try.
questions? Okay, thanks so
Yeah, I
much.
have one more question.
Yeah.
There is no other.
Yes, please go on.
And about peer reflection, I wanted to ask about peer reflection when you invite a teacher who assesses your lesson. So sometimes, you have the feeling that it's not fair how they assess you. So who should you invite? So who you can trust that they are really giving useful advices, really correct, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like we all, I think, have this experience of having an observer who only looks for some negative parts of your class and pick up on those only. You did wrong here. This didn't go well, and talks less about your achievements. This happens to everyone. Don't worry about it. But I think that in some schools and universities, like we are assigned an observer, right? Like the manager or the principal or whoever you have, they assign a person to you, and the teacher comes and observes you. But even if you have an observer who criticizes you a lot, don't worry. There is no teacher who does really, really bad. There are many positive points which the person tries not to say, maybe for some reasons. But you will have next time, if you invite a different person, just look. I don't think all of them will have to say the same thing. Like they will have different ideas to tell. But like it happens, it's not the same all the time. You will have different experiences with different teachers. Listen to them, but again, make your own judgments, okay? I mean, listen to you, think about your own, think back about your practice, about your lesson, and make your own judgments. We should listen, but still we have our own opinion as well, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
Any other ideas?
Fariza John, can I add something?
Yes, please.
I also was thinking about that. I know the teacher's job and the schedule is very busy. And most in my professional development, teachers also complain about that we have no time to sit and reflect because it's so much paperwork to grading and 7 lessons, 2 shifts. Some teachers work 2 shifts, It's not easy, to sit and reflect. But there are other ways you can reflect, as you also suggested. You can do it orally. Yeah, you can do it if you practice mindfulness. I also practice mindfulness. Mindfulness and reflection is connected to each other. When you are praying, for example, when you have a minute of silence at home, when you are washing the dishes even, or maybe cooking, you can do the reflection, or taking a shower.
Yeah,
You
of
can
course.
reflect orally in your mind. If you have
Exactly.
if you have no time for that. So there's so many ways. It's not necessary to keep a diary. You should, there is only this method to do, but we can, if teachers practice mindfulness, you can reflect in the shower, you can reflect in the bed. You know, most of the teachers, when they go to bed, they don't sleep right away, right?
Yeah, or while commuting, for example, using the transport when you sit in a bus or taxi or something. Keep thinking, right?
But if you find
Keeping our
time to
mind
write,
busy is
yeah.
good.
But if you have time to write once a year, make a schedule for yourself. Just say to yourself, okay, I have meeting with myself by the end of the month. So you
Yeah.
make a schedule and you stick it, write it on the note and say, this is my meeting with myself every month by the end. And the other days I will be reflecting orally in my mind when I am after my praying, during the bath or during the shower, or but once a month I have to meet myself face to face, like in diary. You can do it also, schedule you with yourself, make appointment with yourself and sit and write. Because
Yeah, exactly.
when I write, I feel myself, the heavy load, which is
Yeah,
here, so many
relief.
questions come to the notebook. It's transfer here.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of
I understand what you mean. And to all the participants here, please try doing that, what Zebaniso just mentioned. Try, I mean, try the different ways of reflecting. If writing doesn't happen, do it orally. At least give some few minutes of your day for reflecting on your teaching in general, and it will become a habit, and as Deboniso said, it will be kind of relief for you. Okay, uh, you thought about it, you thought about some areas of improvement, for some areas for improvement in your teaching, and how we can solve these areas. I can see Mary's hand raised. Please, Mary. Mehrini Oshoeva, I can see your hand is up. Would you like to share
Yes.
something with us?
Hello,
Yes.
everybody.
Hi.
And I want to share. Yeah, I want to share some tips with other teachers too. When I started to work at school, I remember always that the director, the headmaster of our school, said to me that you must work hard 3 years, and if you are doing best for 3 years, it became your habit and you became a famous teacher, and you became a so perfect teacher if you are doing hard working only for 3 years. And the other, if you do not working, or if you became lazy, you cannot do it because it became your habit and you are doing it. And I always remember that when I'm checking the notebooks, I must put at the end of the month, I must put the mark. And it's already became habit for me to check all the notebooks, because I'm teaching from the third years till 11 from the third grade till 11th grade. And I have 10 class, and I cannot do to put mark without checking. It's became already the habit. And I'm so far from the school. I'm at the top of the school, and I always pick up all the notebooks and bringing it to my house. And all the teacher advised to me that don't check it. Check only the last homework and put the mark to the journal. But I cannot do it. It's already became habit, and I cannot do it. I always check all the notebooks every month and putting this mark and always do it. And it's my habit. It's became habit. And I really to advise the other teachers, if you are doing 3 years hard, it's became habit, and you cannot do without it, and you cannot work without this habit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. And I would advise to everyone, to new teachers, to experienced teachers, to everyone, as Mary said, make reflective practice your habit for the first 3 years, and you will never stop doing it further. She talked about, I mean, in general, her practice, but I still think that reflective teaching should be part of our practice. Let's make it a habit, and we will continue doing it forever. I think our time is up now, right, Gulnora?
Yes, it's already
Yeah,
time, but due
yeah, we
to
are over time. We are over
yeah,
time, but I really want to thank you, the team English Without Borders, for inviting me to be speaker at this session. I really met with great teachers. Thank you so much for your insights and for your comments and all the contributions you made to today's session. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward meeting you again. I hope we will have this opportunity to meet, maybe, I don't know, face to face even, and have more discussions on how to become reflective teachers and how to more improve the quality of our teaching, right?
yeah, exactly. Yes, of course. We look forward. Yes, we look forward to more webinars and more in-person trainings with you. Thank you so
Yes.
much for today's amazing webinar. And thanks a lot for our active participants and good discussion. Thanks a lot. We enjoyed, and there were a lot of takeaways for all of us. Thank you, Fariza John. Thanks a lot for
Thank
your
you so
amazing
much,
webinar.
guys. See you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.